Good afternoon and welcome to this workshop on distance learning basics and best practices. My name is Mukunda Krishnaswamy. I'm one of the teaching assistants for this class. I also started Lumos Learning in 2007. Now, we as a society are in the middle of a crisis. We are presented with a plethora of choices as we think about school reopening, and none of them look right. It's overwhelming and frustrating. As a school leader, you're having to make choices that will have a huge impact on the learning outcomes and the safety of thousands of students and families in your community. It's an enormous responsibility. Technology and distance learning are not perfect, but in the current situation, digital learning methods offer a practical and safe way to help our kids continue to learn. But there's no one solution that fits the needs of every district. So it takes planning, ingenuity, leadership, and empathy to stitch together a solution that's meaningful and works well for your school and district. So we have an exciting cohort today. If you could advance the slide, please. Over 80% of you are principals or assistant principals. We have superintendents, assistant superintendents, directors of curriculum and technology. Your unique experiences truly create an opportunity to learn from each other through this workshop. We have people from over 25 states, from Maine to California, that are registered in this program. So an open dialogue could bring both unique challenges and surprising solutions to the surface. An important part of the symposium is the creation of a distance learning information kit. Your questions, ideas, and insights will be added to this knowledge repository and made available free of charge to educators and school leaders throughout the country. Even this entire course would be made available freely so that other educators can benefit from this knowledge and experience. Again, a very warm welcome to all of you. Hope you will learn a lot and help others learn as well. You can use the chat function to ask questions during the presentation, and mics would be opened towards the end of this for questions and answers. Without any further ado, let me introduce Professor Rogoff. I was a student in his class 15 years ago. I feel blessed that I have the opportunity to learn from him even today. He's a great teacher, mentor, and a friend. Professor, thank you so much for putting together this workshop to help school leaders quickly learn the basics and best practices related to distance learning. Please take it away.
Okay, thank you very much. My pleasure. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Let me do a little bit by way of background. So let me just add one piece to Mukunda's story. So Mukunda was a student in an executive MBA program that I was teaching in. And his kids were young at the time, and he was living in New Jersey, and his kids had to prepare for New Jersey state assessment tests. And he saw that the prep materials that the school gave out didn't match what the exam had on it. And he said somebody should create materials that are relevant to what these exams are. And that became the beginning of Lumos. He became the traditional entrepreneur of starting a business in his basement. And he's plugged away at this for 15 years, growing the number of products he has and growing the number of people who use his products. And he deserves a huge amount of credit. And he's always had, pardon me, a dedication to doing something that works for students and teachers. And I think you'll see that continues today. He asked me to do some interviews with educational leaders to see how people were coping with the emergency move to online teaching prompted by COVID. And I did that. I wrote a white paper, which is on the Lumos site, but I learned a lot. And one of the things I learned is that people need to get an overview of this very complex system that's called online learning. I've had some experience with online myself, developing programs. I've taught using multiple platforms in a pure online, in a hybrid, in various ways. My first experience with online was I worked with a group at NYU, New York University, that was interested, New York University was interested in investing a serious amount of money in creating programs that basically would replace teachers. And having then spent millions of dollars, they came to the conclusion that's not so easy to do. And so that idea didn't work. I guess Coursera is a sort of system that exists with that approach in mind. It's like, we don't need teachers, we're just going to do this in a strictly online format. And it's you know, certainly useful to a point, but it's not a replacement for school. So let's go forward. Let me give you some context for this. I believe we're in the middle of a cycle of technological change in education. The process of technological change is very well understood, and in its most basic form, it's 3 steps. There's a ferment where new replaces old, and if you want to talk about cars, say, or you could do this with anything, telephones or whatever, but with cars, you know, cars replaced horse-drawn carriages. And when that happens, new competencies are necessary. So you need to know how to start a car, how to drive a car, how to operate the equipment on a car. You don't need to understand how to read the horse's mood. That was a competency of the previous generation of transportation. And so we're sort of in this stage, right? So ferment where new is replacing old and new competencies are necessary. So when this is going on, you're seeing lots of experimentation. You know, those of you who have been to a car museum and you look at early cars, there's just a huge variety of designs. You know, cars with 3 wheels, cars with not steering wheels, but sort of sticks that control the car, cars where the brake is on the hand and the gas is on the foot. And this, over a period of decades, you get this convergence of design, and now we live in a world where basically cars are cars. You know, it's like a 4-door sedan is pretty much a 4-door sedan, an SUV is pretty much an SUV. So there's not that much distinction, this convergence of design. That will happen in education. It has not happened yet. We will get to see this probably over the next 5 to 10 years. You get the pleasure of managing in a system where all of this change is going on and you're under enormous pressure because of the environment with caused by the COVID pandemic. So some truths about online teaching. One is it takes longer. So people have an expectation, some teachers have an expectation who haven't done it. Oh, this is be so great, I can save time. The only thing you save is a commuting time. You don't save time in preparation. Preparation takes longer. You need to be careful about it. You need to be thorough about it. You need to break students' assignments and work into smaller chunks, because attention spans are shorter. You know, think about it. You know, a student is sitting at home. Well, you know, he can play with the dog while there's an online class going on, play with the dog, watch the television. use his phone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you really need to hold their attention. And one way to do that is to break everything into smaller pieces. This requires more intensive management by the teacher and more intensive preparation. Therefore, teachers need to reduce their expectations for classes. They're not going to be able to cover, you can't just take their syllabus that was in class and now put it on Zoom and expect that you're going to now cover all the same material. You need to have these detailed class agendas. You need to budget more time for preparation. You need to have these smaller segments, and you need to actively involve the students in the class. I'm going to try to do this with this program today and in subsequent weeks, although I have to tell you I'm going to sort of violate my own guidance today just because I'm trying to cover a lot of background material about what the tools are for online learning. And in subsequent weeks, we'll spend more time in interactive formats, working with them to solve particular issues that you may have. So if you're going to be a successful manager in this environment, a few guidelines. You need to be an incrementalist. You cannot accept that you can win with everyone on every issue. You need to accept progress rather than perfection. You need to expect that some people are going to get it like this and other people are never going to get it. You need to use positive reinforcement. Well, that's perfect for principals and education administrators because by and large, you have nothing else that you can give them. You know, you can't give them money, you can't give them bonuses, you can't give them time off. You know, what you can do is give them positive reinforcement. The good news about that is this is the single most powerful tool for reinforcing behavior and getting people to continue on a track that you've set for them. You want people to work in teams to to solve problems and to create plans. This is sort of like a flipped classroom. You want to be transparent and support open discussions because this is what gains trust. This is what makes you a part of the team. This is what helps them want to please you and support you. And you need to be empathetic for all the problems they're going through. So yes, you've got problems, you have issues that you're dealing with. You can't lose sight of the fact that you need to understand where they're coming from and how they're, for lack of a better word, suffering as they make this transition as well. So one of the things I learned about doing this white paper was that there's sort of, you know, the haves and the have-nots. And I would say that these 6 or 7 things are what are most important for separating the haves and the have-nots. So the, you know, good at-home internet connectivity makes a huge difference. Obviously, you know this. Some of you certainly have students who don't have any internet connection at home. How difficult can we make it for them to participate in education when it moves out of the classroom? If they have parents with technology knowledge and a willingness to participate, huge plus. If they have devices to support at-home learning, so they have reasonable devices that fit with your system, that are not 10 years old, beautiful. If you have IT support and staff at schools that can provide support on a continuing basis to teachers and students and parents to answer questions as they come up, that's a beautiful, you know, beautiful thing. If you have teachers who already have technology knowledge, not everybody has this. The ones who do are going to get it quickly and move. The other ones need much more time and loving care. You need a program for ongoing teacher training for everyone because I'm sure you've had this experience. You learn by doing with this technology. You cannot watch a 5-minute video that shows you how to use Google Classroom and then just be an expert at using Google Classroom. You need to watch, you need to try, you need to bump up against problems, you need to solve those problems. And this is everyone's experience in learning to use technology. And you need a great suite of digital tools. And we'll go through that, that's a pretty long roster of items. Okay, so our goals in this program, I've given some background. Our goals in this program is to review with you the challenges with distance learning, to give you the fundamentals of supporting technology, to go through curriculum issues and strategies. This is going to be a little bit more in later sessions. We're going to talk about the importance of organizational structure and staff training, again, a little bit more in later sessions, and socio-emotional support for everyone in the process. And I think this is very important, is that we want to give you a focused solution to what your situation is. And so we want you to feel free. We're going to ask a few people to be volunteers in this process, to come forward and share with us what they're dealing with, what the issues are, and then everyone can share, and we can talk about what solutions might be and help you come to a good answer for moving on and solving your problem. So the program structure is flexible and collaborative. We're going to do with these real case studies. We're going to have discussions. We're going to be sharing knowledge and experience. You bring a lot to this. You're all professionals with experience, and we want you to share that knowledge with each other. It's interactive. We're going to use chat along the way. We'll hold some polls and surveys. We're going to provide you with references, which will become a sort of curated list of resources that you can go to way after this program is over. So we put a lot of effort into finding what we think are a good list of various types of tools and videos and readings that don't burden you much, that are efficient in terms of using your time, but cover a lot of these issues. We're going to provide everybody with a certificate at the end of the program. And those of you who would like to get continuing education credits or professional development credits, we're registering with the University of Georgia roster for this. But if you'd like us to work with your local organization or your professional organization so that you can use this program for credits, just let us know. We'll do whatever would be helpful in that